Okay, just a few notes about the solo. I'll try and go through them as quick as I can. First of all, the process of this. I don't consider that video a finished product in a way. You know, I mean, you have to kind of stop the process at somewhere and show what you've done. But there is somewhere I could go with making that a little bit more accurate and a little bit tighter with the original. Anyway, my process for learning the solo was I transcribed it purely by ear. I didn't use any tablature, which is the way I would advise everybody to learn because it's great ear training. You can go one lick at a time if you like. I mean, I know that the Tristano school advocates singing the solo all the way through, but I would say that, you know, I need something to hang it off. I find I tend to be very vague otherwise and just go la 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 along with the record if I just sing it. So I do think that actually learning one lick at a time and then also learning how to sing it is the way that works for me. Because then I can actually fix the pitches in my head a bit more. So you should learn to play it and learn how to sing it. And then if you sing the solo all the way through, then it gives you more of a sense of the musicality and the rhythm of it. So as I practice a lot of half speed because I want to get to the point where it's completely effortless. And again, I would say that I haven't really got to the point where it's completely effortless at tempo. And you can probably see a few sort of signs of tension as I was playing it. And the idea is that eventually you'd remove those completely. But like I say, you know, at some point you're documenting a process. You know, you're not just going for the finished product all the time because actually there's always ways you can improve your playing. Okay, technique. Now, this is quite interesting. I mean, there's several kind of sources saying that Charlie Christian used primarily downstrokes. And I imagine, I mean, I'm probably slipping back this way, so I tend to do that on his guitar, but I imagine he's probably picking mostly downstrokes over the pickup, sorry. So that means that when he's playing arpeggios, he's going down across the strings with downstrokes, like a rake. Which is very similar to gypsy jazz picking. You know, these sorts of licks as well. It's actually quite hard to do. Heavy, like, you know, rakes downwards. Okay, you know, there's a little trill which is really beautifully executed here. Hammer on pull off, which is very much part of Charlie Christian's sound. I would say, you know, I probably didn't use enough downstrokes in my recording. There's a little bit of cheeky alternate picking, but there you go. Just especially on this bit. Which can't even play it, turns out. Can't even do it anyway. Listen to the recording. look at my picking direction. Okay, now for the right hand, what I've tried to do is, again, people have talked about Charlie Christian's right hand, or Barney Kessel in particular, and said that's mostly 3 fingers. So I've tried to honour that, even though sometimes it's quite hard. Like I find this lick very hard not to play with 4 fingers. Sorry, that one. Okay, that's, you know, you probably played it that way or something similar. But on the whole, I think I've done all right. You know, there's lots of shifts. So when he goes, you know, it's got that kind of thing going on. Like third note of the whatever it is. That's something as well. So there's lots of these little nuances. I didn't quite get this bit. I think it slides down at the end of that. So it's like little nuances like that are great as well to sort of get into. So timing wise, Charlie Christian's timing is absolutely killer, which is why it's a really good idea to play along with him because it teaches you how to swing a little bit, hopefully, if you get it tight. I would say the interesting thing about Charlie Christian's technique and how it affects his swing is that he will, and this gives you a clue on his fingering as well, which is quite good, is that when he's raking downwards, when he's playing these sweeps, you know, like this, these are very straight. You know, dagga, 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 dabba, dabba. But, you know, when he's playing more kind of scalic or alternately picky, can I even say that? Alternate picking sort of phrases, which basically have more than one note of string. Then he bounces it a little bit more. He gets a little bit more that kind of triplet swing. like that, right? So it's really subtle. It's really nice the way he keeps switching between these, and it's completely natural to the guitar. It does remind me a lot of what Lester Young does in his solos, because he switches between straight and swung as well, for different reasons, because obviously he's playing a tenor sax and not a guitar. But this is probably something that Charlie Christian picked up from Lester Young, because he was a big fan. I mean, timing-wise, if you slow it down, everything is so perfectly in the pocket. Nothing rushes. He's not playing on top at all, which is why it feels relaxed. And when you try to play along with it, you realise that it's quite fast. I think it's cut at 200 beats a minute, the original solo. So it's like, it's deceptive. Lester Young has the same quality. If you try to play along with his records, you'll realise they're a lot faster than you think. And it's just that he is so completely relaxed and in the pocket that he makes it sound easy, which is, means people sometimes underestimate how good Charlie Christian is as a player, because he's got, he's not a chops player like Django, but he is able to execute everything very cleanly and very beautifully and absolutely smack in time. So that's enough about that. Rhythmically, there's a nice little, very subtle thing he does again, which I've noticed, which is that he'll use ghost notes to sort of, rhythmically fill out phrases, or, sort of maybe sometimes get a little bit of sort of false fingering effect, like when he played two notes in different places on the saxophone, like the same note, this kind of stuff. He does that. So the first lick is like when he goes, he plays this kind of arpeggio and then a chromatic down thing. See, that's the phrase. Well, it starts on the offbeat, so and ends on the B, right? Now, if you played that without this extra ghost note, just played a straight chromatic descent, it wouldn't work rhythmically, right? So that's weak. But he wants to end up on the B. So what he does is he just adds in a little ghost note, which is an open D string. I mean, it's fine anyways, it's in the right key. But I have a feeling that even if he did it in the wrong key, it would still work, because it's just a bit of rhythmic filler, right? So he goes, one. Sorry, that was right the second time. So that kind of just makes it land on the B. And this is a very good, like, we talk about, like sort of 8-note sort of bebop scales and stuff, or scales with added notes to try and make the chord tones come out on the beat, like for example this kind of thing. I mean, this is kind of a guitaristic way of accomplishing the same thing, just by using open strings, and it has a really sort of funky feel to it. I love it. This is a great technique, and I don't hear that many guitarists use it really. It's very natural to the instrument. And also, it's something that sax players do all the time. They play ghost notes and you can't work out what pitch they are, but they are, that they are rhythmically there to make the phrase work. And it doesn't really matter what they are, Two people might play different ghost notes in the same solo because they can't quite work out the pitch. That's not the point of them. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we have the harmonic aspects of the solo, which are mostly based around the minor 6 chord, or the minor 6 arpeggio, and which is a minor triad with a major 6 added to it. And this sort of shape, he's got a few of them. There's this one up here, with an extra 9th in actually. He even uses this as well, which is a different minor 6, same shape though up here. He uses this shape, and he uses this shape. He's got loads of them. So this is a cornerstone of Charlie Christian's vocabulary, as this arpeggio, and he uses it in two main ways. He uses it on minor chords, obviously. So at the beginning we have the D minor chord, and he uses, and then he uses it in a context which is over a dominant chord. So over any dominant chord, you can use the minor 6th, the 5th up. So for example, if I'm playing over an F7, I can use a C minor 6, right? Like this one. Sorry, is that right? No, if I'm using C minor, sorry, if I'm using C minor 6, I can use a G minor. If I'm using C7, I can use a G minor 6. If I'm using C7, I can use a G minor 6. So he does that here. Says that works over that. And he does the same thing, similar sort of thing over A7. So he gets that kind of A9 sound really. But that's kind of weird because we're used to thinking of minor chords or dominant chords in a minor key as having a flat 9 in, and he always plays the major ninth almost, you know, almost without fail. It's like this bit at the beginning, he plays a E minor 6 over the A7, which gives you that kind of A13 quality, which is I guess to, you know, to D minor. He'll do the same thing with the scales as well. Like he'll go, or you know, or I mean, what he's playing there, we would understand in the modern sort of jazz terminology to be the A Mixolydian mode, or you know, the A dominant scale if you prefer, which is, you know, doesn't belong to the minor key, you know, because it's got that F sharp in, so it's actually, then he resolves it down to D minor, which has got the F in it, so that's quite strange, you know. That wouldn't be my first choice, but it sounds great, and it's kind of got his sound to it. Lastly, the kind of another use of the minor 6, which is more of a kind of a coloristic sound. Oh, well, both coloristic sounds really, but it's beautiful. He plays B flat kind of set minor 6 over C7 going to, but he kind of puts a major 7th in there as well, so it kind of. So that means you can play B flat minor major 7th over a C7. It gives you a kind of C7 flat 9 sound. And he uses this an awful lot, and it's actually a very common substitute for the swing era and for the boppers as well, at least the early boppers. So, you know, it's like the subdominant minor or the 4 minor of the key will go very nicely under a 5/7, right, or 2/5/1. And this kind of gives you this sort of beautiful sort of major minor kind of quality. So it's one of my favourite substitutes anyway. I use this all the time. Anyway, so I mean, I've included tab because probably people will ask me, but really it's like, it's best to kind of work these things out from the record, you know, and get good at doing this. And it's fun to sort of puzzle out what fingerings you may have used. I mean, my fingerings might not be right. You might disagree with them. They seem right to me because I can play the solo and it seems to sit okay with the record, but maybe it'd be better if I did it another way. I don't know, you know. Or maybe you find it easier to play another way. These are all legitimate ways of, you know, interpreting the solo, so you don't have to necessarily follow my lead. And tablature is very limiting like this because it just tells you where to put your fingers. You know, but you can certainly learn from playing the tab along with the record and getting exact to Charlie Christian's rhythm, because he's one of the most swinging guys ever to play a guitar. Probably ever to play jazz, according to Lenny Tristano. Charlie Christian's time feel is the best in the history of jazz. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but he's definitely up there. So I hope you enjoy sort of working through the solo and learning a few things about it, and I hope you found this video useful. Anyway, catch you soon. Bye.